again make sure that everyone does not forget the Second World War, but also a contemporary Jewish center of culture, art, politics, customs, and everything else that will introduce our people to Israel. And at the same time, I will tell you that not only the not entire story of the coexistence between Albanians and Jews started with the Second World War, and not only it's a story that took together centuries, but it is important to never forget that Jews in Albania were saved by Muslims and Christians, by Albanian families that have put before their own religious identity their human identity in line. They stayed true to the old saying that the Albanian home belongs to God and the guest, but not the guest you necessarily invite, but the one that wants to be helped, the one that knocks at your door, the one that may be unknown to you, but that you have the obligation to shelter and to protect. And so far there are 73 Albanians, Muslims and Christians, that have been recognized as righteous among the nations, and many others, including high-ranking officials of that time, still waiting to be recognized as such. And I was sharing today with some Israeli friends the incredible story of the collaborationist government, the puppet Nazi government in Albania, made by Albanians, which made an ordeal to take off jail 4 Jews that were arrested by the Nazi command, and they approved a decree of 1,500 golden coins for each of the Jews, and begging the Nazi command to let them free, because for them it would be a shame to not try. And these 4 Jews were freed. Last year, we put up a memorial for the victims of Holocaust in a very populated area of our capital city. And the memorial inscription reads in English, Hebrew, and Albanian: Albanians, Christians, and Muslims endangered their lives to protect and save the Jews. And we are very much aware that what our grandfathers made is not simply a bright chapter of our history, but it's more than this. It's a national heritage treasure. And we need, and we will do everything to cherish it and to make sure that our kids and the kids of our kids realize how precious this part of our national heritage treasure is. In the same time, for Albania, it comes natural to stand firm against anti-Semitism. And as we are in government, we have done everything to make sure that our country is always in the front line against anti-Semitism, because as I try to always explain, it's not about Israel, it's not about the Jewish people, it's about humans. And it's about understanding how important it is to not engage in any form of revenge or in any form of insulting attitude towards others because of their different background, being ethnic, being religious. Israel is strong enough today to protect itself, but the world should understand that fighting anti-Semitism is not protecting Israel. It's protecting its own values, it's protecting its own principles, it's protecting its own self. And without taking more of your time, although it's never a good idea to have a man from the Balkans and Albania speak during a dinner because you risk to end without eating, I want to finish my speech with Sasha. I can't describe how I felt when I saw Sasha appearing with a group of Jewish people without announcing himself at the door of my office to ask me to help their Afghans. When I say their Afghans, I mean that what happened during the NATO pulling out from Afghanistan was really a very heavy test for all the NATO countries vis-à-vis their obligation to not leave behind at least the Afghans that were there for us, that worked for us, that believed in us, that exposed themselves because of what we represented for them. And I thought since the very first second that Albania couldn't shy away like richer and bigger countries did. And we had to open our door and to welcome with our possibilities these Afghans that otherwise would be victims of Taliban's revenge. Because we didn't have religious Talibans, but we had atheist Talibans ruling Albania for half a century, keeping us isolated, telling us that the three devils, the three heads of devil were American imperialism, Soviet social imperialism, and Jewish Zionism. And so we did. We did it. And we didn't do it just for the Afghans. We did it for ourselves. We did it for our kids. We did it for who we are. We did it for the memory. Because we may not be rich, but we have still a very sound memory. And this is very important. So when Sasha came and asked me to do whatever we could for their Afghans, it was really something that will stay with me for life. Because I immediately understood, I immediately felt that it was a Jew feeling that he owed something to some other people of a completely different background, of a totally different religion, but that at that precise moment of history were threatened to be eliminated, exactly like your predecessors. And this is how it should be. And this is why anti-Semitism is a cause for everyone, not just for Israel or for Jewish people. And this is why being against anti-Semitism is not a flag of Israel, but is keeping the flag of humanity. Thank you very much. And let me wish I was not boring and my speech was worth you stopping eating. Thank you.